today we are going to discuss about some product criterias, and this criteria is going to be specific for the Amazon marketplace only. Like we have added the product design selection particularly, then the sourcing, then the patent in the product evaluation part. And by adding Amazon product marketplace criteria, then the design selection, or even if we have to do the development part in it, that second step, then the third step is the sourcing effort, then the first step is the patent. We have added all these four components in the product evaluation criteria. So today, in today's video, we are simply going to discuss about the Amazon marketplace data evaluation criteria, like what particular things we need to keep in mind while we are analyzing Amazon marketplace. So here I have shared the screen and I'm going to zoom it a bit further so you can see it clearly. I have written down these simple guidelines regarding product evaluation criteria, and then again that is specific to the Amazon marketplace data points. Like it simply depends upon, let's say if I'm planning for the stress ball, all these data points or all these product criteria data points are particularly specific to the Amazon marketplace. That has nothing to do still with the design selection, the design development, and then the profit margins or the sourcing effort. And then again, the third one, the patent or the trademark, etc. Yeah, trademark is a bit included, but not majorly the patent. So our criteria has now expanded to these four components instead of giving verdict on the basis of keyword data and the competitor revenue and brand dominancy data. And then we realized later on that this product is not viable in the sourcing stage, or maybe we are failing to bring any tangible development in the design, or maybe this product is stuck in the patent issue. So then again, going back straight to zero, we have decided to keep the criteria for product approval once we get data of all these four components. So here I'm going to discuss the details with you, which I just mentioned here. We are going to read it together. The first one is the brand dominance. There shouldn't be more than two same brand listings in the top five, or more than four same brand listings in the top 10. And then again, if let's say there are two similar brands, let's say Vaseline, there are two similar brand name, and then third, fourth, fifth is an other different brand names, other different brands. Those three different brands should be earning good. It shouldn't be the case like in the top five position, only the top two brands, like the same brand which has top two sports, that is earning good, and the remaining three brands are not earning well. Or then again, in the top 10 sports, the four same brand is more than is around four times, but then again, after the remaining six sports, all the remaining six brands are not earning well. That shouldn't also be the case here. Then the second point is our relevant design must have around 4 to 8 sellers. It's not actually more about the sellers, but it's more about the design specific keywords, because we might go into some designs which are altogether new, but we need to see in which design specific keyword class, or in which subcategory, I would say, or the micro niche would be the right word, in which micro niche these designs are falling, and we need to see if there is some prior demand for these specific kind of designs or not. That's more important. We do have some flexibility here. I would also keep on sharing which criteria is absolute, or we have strict compliance with that, and which criteria we can have flexibility. So in the first one, definitely we do have some strictness, but in this one we do have some flexibility again, and that is more about the design specific keywords rather than the design sellers. But then again, if we have the higher demand and let's say 4 to 8 sellers, and still we are bringing development in the design, that's a very plus point, because we are jumping into a market which already has some demand. We don't need to do the demand creation part here. That's very important thing. So the third point is there should be at least 3+ different brands with revenue more than 10,000, or whatever is your target revenue minimum threshold. That can be 8,000 as well. We do have some flexibility here, and the reviews should be between 300 to 800. Now it is quite possible that in this niche the top sellers may have around 25,000 reviews, and they may be doing around 400,000 revenue. But the major point is we should have some examples in the niche that are generating revenue with a minimal range of reviews. That gives us the capacity to become or get to break even or even profitable in early days, like maybe in 3 4 5 months, instead of we have to in other scenario we may have to wait for maybe 1 year or 1.5 year to become profitable. So that will be a hard hit on the cash flow. We need to keep this point in that perspective in mind. The search volume of top two keywords should not be less than 50% of the total relevant search volume, because then again, if everyone will be attacking on the main keyword and let's say you are generating 2000 sales in this scenario, 2000 unit sales per month. In this scenario, around 50% of sale is being generated by single keyword, and every newcomer is going to attack on that particular keyword. So 50% of your sale is going to be under turbulence due to newcomers targeting the main keyword. So if we have some even distribution of search volume between keywords, that's going to be very beneficial. I would say this is kind of a hard no go. Don't go for products which have around 2 3 keywords capturing more than 70 80% search volume, and then remaining keywords have very small contribution, because in that case, all the science of design specific keywords and finding the gap keywords won't have much influence, because you are playing in that 20% area. So that's important to understand here. So the design specific keywords should have at least 5,000 or more search volume. That's important because this is some exclusive number of keywords and some exclusive search volume which you can grab on, and you only have to compete with your similar design competitors rather than competing with maybe 1500 or 3000 or 4000 different other design competitors as well. So it would make things quite simple, and this is going to be our go-to spot during launch as the primary preference keywords which we need to target on. So total number of keywords should be at least more than 30 in USA and more than 20 in UK. If you have around 7 8 keywords in UK, that's a very dangerous approach until you see that the market do have gap in terms of number of reviews, like no player is having a higher number of review, then definitely you can plan to dominate the market. In other scenario, if there's a market in which the top players do have around 2000, 4000, 5000 such number of reviews in maybe 4 digits, and then the number of keywords are very less, then that's a risky point here. Another precaution we need to take here is about Google Trends. It's not about if the graph is seasonal or semi-seasonal. It's about predicting the actual number of revenue, and it really depends upon in which time period of the year you are analyzing or researching the particular product. So let's say if your product has a semi seasonality and you see higher revenue or higher number of sales in Q4, and the numbers get correct or get back to normal in rest of the years, maybe in quarter 1 2 and 3. Now we are sitting here in the month of September. It's about to end and we are going to enter into the Q4. Let's say you analyze and see a product in the month of November, and you see, let's say the revenue is maybe 100,000 and 70,000, and then we see from helium 10 keywords search volume graph and also from the Google Trends that the trend is going to reduce maybe by 33% or by one third, or you can say by one fifth or even one fourth in the remaining quarters of the year. So you are expecting or you are analyzing the comparators on the criteria that if those comparators are making 10,000 revenue per month, and then they qualify for that particular criteria in the month, in the quarter of Q4, in the last quarter of the year. But then when you launch the product, you launch it maybe in the month of April or May, and then you come to see that all those sellers who were earning around 10,000 are now doing not more than 7,000, 6,000. So that's going to put a fallacy or an error in your estimation and in your analysis. So what I do here is, let's say we are taking the example of stress ball, and I have downloaded the X-ray sheet. Here is the revenue, and I see we are sitting here in the Q4, and I have analyzed by checking relevant search volume keywords, relevant keywords which have a graph, or checking the helium 10 keyword search volume graph, and I've seen that their graph is going to go down maybe by 20%, 30%, or even 40% in the low periods of year. It's also possible, it can be like it's high in Q4 and then it's average in maybe Q1 and Q3, but it's pretty low in Q2. So the difference between Q4 and Q2 is 50%. Like let's say if you are generating the revenue of 75,000 here, in the lowest quarter of your year or in the lowest month of the year, it's going to generate half of that. So we need to have a clear picture what we should expect in the low period of the year. That's very important to consider this point. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a column here and simply put a formula like this revenue and multiply by, let's say its revenue will be decreased by 60%, or I would say 66%. Like it's going to get down to two-third of what's the actual revenue is here right now. So I'm going to put the formula here, and here it is showing me the revenue picture what I should expect in the low quarter of the year. So that's very important because you don't get wrong estimation of inventory, you don't get wrong estimation of budget, and you don't approve a product which does not deserve to be approved due to wrong analysis of numbers. So that's a very key point here. Revenue should not be dependent to reviews. We have discussed this already, and we need to see that there should be some sellers, like in this third point, which have good revenue with low number of reviews. That's important because that kind of qualifies if you come up with some new development and that has acceptance in the market as well, you are going to get the traction. Public is not bound with the higher number of review. The mode of high review has not consolidated such kind of impact that even new entrants are not going to get any share. So that's important to analyze this point. So the ninth point is product selling price must be $50 plus. It's going to give you a cushion against the increasing competitiveness is in Amazon PPC. And I would even suggest to go for maybe $100, $200, even $400 plus products. If you find those are going to act as a barrier against the high PPC competitiveness, because majority of the sellers right now, even majority of you guys are doing product in $25 or less than that selling price. And yes, we do have some mechanism and we do have approaches to tackle the increasing PPC competitiveness, and we are going to discuss that in the PPC section later on. But still, if we can avoid it, why shouldn't we? That's very important point. So the 10th point is we need to check out the trademark of the root keyword. What's happening right now in the market is specifically in the US market, and I have seen some terrible examples of this thing. Let's say we are talking about stress ball example. We do check the trademark of the brand name. Like I've selected a brand name, if that brand name is available in the market or already being trademarked, that's something we do already. What we need to add on with this point is we need to check the trademark of the simple product main keywords, like stress ball, like squishy ball, like squishy toys. What happens is some, I would say, I won't specify the country, but some sellers do manage to get the trademark on the main keywords of the products, which allows them to play dirty in the market and they kind of attack. And the bad part here is Amazon does not take much concern into this thing. And if they see a trademark document of that main keyword of your product, even if that's a generic keyword, and you can go to the court and cancel that trademark, but till the point you don't achieve this, till the point you don't cancel or nullify their trademark, Amazon is going to act on their application and they are going to kick you out. So that's a gray area here which we need to take care of, and we need to make sure that all the root keywords are not trademarked, or even if they are trademarked, those are being trademarked by some sellers which are, or by some companies, by the owners which are not selling on Amazon, and their niche is altogether different than the products on Amazon. Like let's say maybe stress ball can be dominated by a psychiatrist, by a service agency, or maybe by a restaurant chain. So we know that these kind of competitors are not going to jump into Amazon, and that is kind of safe approach. But if those are being trademarked by some Chinese or by maybe some American, or maybe by some Asian who are selling on Amazon as well, so that's a negative point, and we need to either cater this point before launching the product, or we need to avoid it. So the product needs to have relevant audience congregation point. Congregation point means in simple words the group. I mean, there should be a Facebook group, or maybe an Instagram hashtag, or maybe a Reddit community, or maybe a YouTube channel, or maybe a good demand or good discussion point on Quora. I would say maybe a good hashtag number on TikTok. There should be some online presence of your particular target audience or particular keyword on the social media. That's very important point, because we would need that in the external marketing efforts, in product development section, and some other stuff as well. So if your product does not have some online congregation point, that's a negative thing, and that's an absolute negative thing. And I would suggest to drop that product, because the way things are moving in the market, it's going to be compulsory to build a relationship with your customers. Now definitely you are not sitting in USA right now, or majority of the listeners are not sitting in USA right now, so you don't have that plus point to go to the retail shop and make a bond or make a relationship with your ideal target customers. So what you need to do here is you need to make sure that your target customers are available or do exist on social media platform, so you can make a bond with them and you can kind of utilize that for success of your brand as well. So the 12th point is what we have discussed in the early videos already. The number of click products should be at least 10 plus in the Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer. Also in the 13th point, check out the suggested bids. It's not absolute now, because sometime I've seen the scenario where the suggested bid was maybe around $1, and when after 4 or 5 months we launched the product, the actual bids were around $4, $5. Now we have observed the increase in suggested bid during these months as well. Like it's going around $2, then 2.5, then $3, and then 4. Now it's suggested bid is around $6. So it's not the absolute thing here, but definitely if you see, you can kind of predict the competition here, and you can modify your launch strategy as well. And if you have a couple of options, like let's say you have 10 products on the table, so you can see if you want to reject a product, like let's say you have three options which qualify and one of them has higher suggested, but you can definitely drop this option and consider on the remaining two as well. So it kind of helps you to do the better selection. But then again, it's relative now, and we must have to shift, or I would say expand on other marketing channels as well, to make sure that we can mitigate the risk of the increasing competitiveness of Amazon PPC. So the 14th point is search to order ratio in Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer. It's not search query performance, it's Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer. I have also mentioned it in the recent videos as well, but then again, if you want to have a second look on it, I have also have a YouTube video on it. We can get an idea about the search to order ratio or the conversion percentage of the competitors. Like let's say the search to order ratio is around 10%, then do expect an order after every 10 click. You may manage to achieve a better conversion rate, because that's an average of the niche. And if you are making enough tangible improvements on your product, or if you are optimizing your listing as compared to your competitors, then definitely you can get a better idea, or I would say you can get a better conversion. But having this benchmark will help you a lot in analyzing the average conversion in the market, because some niches do have very poor conversion and some niches do have higher conversion as well. And the 15th point is number of newly launched product in the niche. If it's around 10, 20, 30 in the last year, then that's a very easy and good point. But if it's around maybe 100 plus or 200, then you know you have a swarm of new competitors coming or entering into the market, and you need to make the plans accordingly. In that case, I would suggest expect that the market is going to get competitive, maybe in 1.5 or 2 year, and you need to bring up some development in your product. Otherwise you need to launch further variations in the niche as soon as possible. Otherwise you're going to observe a shrinkage in your sales chunk. And the last point is kind of an additional factor, but if there is a market depth, like the sellers at the middle of the bottom of page are earning well, that's a plus point, and that's going to help you even to survive at the middle of the page if things become so competitive at the top of page, because all of the fight is at the first quarter of the page. When you go to the middle of the page or maybe the bottom of the page, things are not that much competitive, so you can survive with very less cost on the bottom of the page or middle of the page. So if we have depth there and people do buy from middle of the page or the bottom of the page, then that's a plus point and that will help you to survive in crucial times. That's an additional thing, not an absolute stuff, but that definitely helps if you evaluate this in your product evaluation time stamp. So that's all for the guidelines regarding product criteria, and see you soon in the next video. Goodbye.